This video is called The War in Heaven, the Sun versus Saturn. I do have a special guest. It is my good brother, D Calico.
I'm just a master student like my brother Crumb. You feel me? I stand by his side in saying that we both are great master students. So that means, the future entails a lot of us.
Just add a little bit of value because I know a little bit of your background. When we're dealing with D Calico, as far as I'm aware of, came up through a similar path or school of thought that I did, which is more science. And your appellation, you are a Bay, and to whom it may concern, I am an L.
Yes.
We both are students under Dr. Aleem L. Bay. You put me on to him. Some of my greatest work came from studying him. Also, with that said, in terms of entertainment, you are a lyricist. I don't want to really say rapper. I could say MC, mic controller, master of ceremony, so on and so forth. But, you are a lyricist as well. Sort of family can definitely keep an ear out for you there. But, if I had to say anything about you, I'd say that, one thing that you really dive deep into is etymology. You're I guess we can even go back to the rapping thing. You're a wordsmith. You go deep into the words. So with that said, I wanted to kind of get into this story about the war in heaven. When we're talking about heaven, that word can best be translated, if you were to ask the layman, the average person who doesn't know anything about anything, ask them where is heaven at, they're going to point up to the skies, somewhere above us. So when we're dealing with the idea of heaven, heaven is, I guess in real life, we could say outer space. Heaven is in outer space. The brother said the war in the mind. Now we know that when we're dealing with the outer space thing, or even heaven, in the New Testament they call it the upper room, and in the hood we'd be like the upper room, and the upper room is the dome, the kingdom, the dome of heaven, the kingdom. One time I was challenging you on flat Earth, and I said, in terms of our physical makeup, you said, there's a dome on the top and it's flat on the bottom. So, when we're dealing with heaven, we can look at it from several different perspectives. But let's just go with the idea that heaven is somewhere above us, above the dome in space. So when we're dealing with the war in heaven, we're really dealing with the war in space. And there's a lot of different stories that talk about that. I want to start where we always start at in terms of the conscious community. Let's go with what the Europeans call Egypt, what the family calls Kemet, Northern Africa, Middle East, or what have you.
Whatever.
Could you help us understand the war in heaven between the sun and Saturn in terms of Egypt, Kemet, Northern Africa, the Middle East, whatever they want to call it? Can you help us out with that one?
Everybody knows about the battle of Haru and Set. It's their like I was getting at, Haru and Set. Haru is who a lot of y'all might know as Horus. That's his Greek name. So what I'm really getting at is Haru or Horus would represent the sun in modern times. He's your Jesus. So he represents the sun. Set would be Saturn, who is vying for power in heaven. Saturn or Saturn is truly named Set because he sat upon the throne. Set means throne.
Whoa. If Heru is Jesus, Jesus sits on the throne.
Yeah, I'm sure that's just how they would take it. But you know, it's really your choice. You feel me? And that's how it's always been. But in more ancient times, that was worship. And instead of a star, you know, who you might know as Osiris. You know, many people know the Greek name, so we're gonna say Osiris and Horus. You know, but yeah, uh, Osiris worship didn't start until like the 16th century BC. You feel me? So it's really rather new to the ancient world. A star worship didn't really come into play. It was always about Set, and we stuck into this. We look at everything in such a biblical, mundane level. We don't see it in a metaphysical or cosmological light. We look at everything as physical. So when they say a Asar betrayed his brother and chopped him up into 12 pieces, the only thing missing was the phallus. So that made it seem real like Homo or whatever the case. But the whole thing about that story is really just cosmological. So this is all cosmology. And when we're really talking about the star, uh, uh, what a constellation that Set represents and how it divided the constellation that we equate to Osiris, you know, Orion. It divided it into 12. We gave it a folk tale. We brought it to life, so to speak, by comparing it with two humans. You feel me? So we'll say that he was chopped up into pieces, but this is just really a cataclysm in the stars. You feel me? So a star was burst and divided upon, and we kind of gave that reference to, you know, it happened because of this star. So we're saying like, oh, Set did this to his brother. And just like a lot of this stuff when we be talking about ancient Egyptians married their brother and their sister, we talking about, you know, two star solar systems coming together or whatever the case may be. And yes, they were born out of the same mother star. So, oh no, those are brothers and sisters. But no, those stars are like twin flames. Those, you know what I'm saying, they locked by the hip, like a SAR and, you know, Orion and Sirius B. So people like look at it, you feel me? Everybody want to look at it like it's some incest going on, but everything is cosmology. Like you say, Saturn versus the sun.
And if I could add value to that, certain people had a better understanding than others. And even to this day, a lot of people don't know how they got that understanding because there were no telescopes. So now, if there were no telescopes back then, the only stars or bodies, celestial bodies that we could see in heaven or space or whatever you want to call it, somewhere up there, the only thing we could see with the naked eye was as far as Saturn. If we go look at Greek mythology, Neptune was not an original god. Nobody could see Neptune. Uranus was not an original god. So with Neptune is Poseidon. You know, for any of the family that has watched SpongeBob, we know Poseidon or Neptune was the king of the ocean. Neptune was not the original king of the ocean simply because you couldn't see Neptune with the visible eye. At that time, they didn't even know that planet was out there. They didn't know Uranus was out there. They didn't know Pluto was out there. The farthest star or celestial body, because the reality is we don't know if it's a star right now. You know, really quickly, sidebar. I want to give a big to NASA. I want to give a really big to NASA. We don't know, family. We don't know if those are stars. We don't know if there are planets. We don't know nothing about that stuff over there. Even now. So, you know, don't believe the hype to the rest of the family. Don't believe the hype. With that said, so now with the naked eye, we could see as far as Saturn. And let me just pull up a picture so the family can get an idea of what we're talking about. So now these are the so-called planets in line. So we already knew about Mercury because you can see that with the naked eye. You can see Venus, you can see Mars, you can see Jupiter. The farthest out The end of our galaxy with the visible eye was Saturn. You couldn't see nothing past Saturn. To see Uranus, you need a microscope. To see Neptune, you need a microscope. So now, at that particular time, they thought Saturn was the last planet, or the last star, or the last celestial being in our galaxy. Now, based on the way these objects are moving, based off the way they appear to be moving, sometimes they're not in the same order that we see here now. They're not in the same order. At one point in time, it looked like Venus was behind Earth. At one point in time, it looked like Earth was the second planet. Why is this important? Because just like the brother is saying to the family, just like the brother is saying right now, at one point in time, we did not worship Jesus, aka Haru. We didn't worship Haru. Or Ra. Ra was the sun. We didn't worship the sun. The dominant planet in this solar system was Saturn.
I see.
So please, brother, again, I just want to set you up. Continue, please.
Yes, sir. And it's wild that the way you said that, because the original star or sun was Saturn. So everything would have been flipped around. That means Saturn would have been in the front, and like you say, what would have been behind Earth? Venus.
That's right.
You know?
Oh, we
Yes,
were
sir.
looking at it not as the sun is the center. Saturn was the center.
It was the sun.
It was the center. The center of this universe used to be Saturn.
Yeah.
During that period, when Saturn was the center of our universe, that was the time of Set. Am I close or?
Oh yeah, you all on it. Because the primordial beings of this world worship Set. But we were never monotheistic. It was many gods, of course. Amun Ra. It's many primordial gods. Like the goddess Nega, where they say the word nigga comes from. The goddess Nega, she birthed the sun. She birthed Ra. So these are primordial gods that don't even get they due.
Well, when we say primordial gods, those are the first ones. Everything after the primordial gods aren't primordial. When we're dealing with Set is primordial. He's one of the originals. Ra, or Horus or Heru, whatever you want to call him. Hold on, let me pull the picture up. Ra, Heru, Horus, he's not a primordial god. He's not one of the originals. Yeah. He was born, he came later. The original, one of the original gods was Set. Set was the original. That's why he was the throne.
Exactly. And then we must be honest, we have to give some credit to Jupiter. Jupiter would be Jupiter, or Ptah. So Ptah being Jupiter was the very first sun before Saturn. So this is the war in heaven. This is the war in heaven. This is the battle of thrones. You know what I mean?
The Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones. This is the Game of Thrones. For real. In the flesh, the solar system. That's one thing we do know, that stars are souls.
So with all due respect, I never heard this from anybody before you.
Exactly. Thank you, sir.
However, the family is adding value. Sis said Set is Soot, the original OG. Yeah. We not talking about original gangster. No, the OG is the original God.
Exactly. See, like I had a theory You know, that put it like this. You know, I always like to ask, does a fish know it's underwater? You know, a fish doesn't know it's underwater. You feel me? So we are the fish that don't know that we're underwater. You know, the air is water. Water is a solid, a liquid, and a gas.
Right.
So that means in its gas form, it's called air. We know in its solid form, it's called ice. And we know in its liquid form, that, you know, that's water. But what I'm saying is the air is water. And the more humid it is, the more water in the atmosphere. What I'm getting at is, what is fire? Without fire, without air, fire can't exist, right?
Facts.
Like fire is air. So fire is water. That's what they're not telling. So even deeper than that, what I'm saying is, my theory is, when we say in the primordial waters, I truly feel like we're talking about lavas and volcano. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the volcano and the lavas as far as, like, that's the true primordial waters, because we just said soot. What happens when a volcano blows? It, you know, or after the ash is the soot. It has, you know, it shoots soot up into the sky. Like the last ice age was caused from when a volcano exploded, and it left so much soot in the sky that it blocked the sun off for, you know, millions of years. So soot, once again, like you say, soot on, Satan or Set, as we know him, is everything to our existence. Because the crazy thing about it, as soon as a volcano passes, and that, you know, because every day new land is growing from volcano. When a volcano erupts and that lava dries, that ash, that soot, is the most fertile soil on the earth.
Because soot is pure carbon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people talk so much crap about forest fires. Not saying we need to have them go out of control, but we need controlled forest fires for that soot.
Mm-hmm. I shake.
Yes.
But I much rather rely on the volcanoes. You know what I mean? Let them keep doing their part. You know, because new world is steady being created all day, every day as we speak. But you know, we still over here worrying about land that's actually disappearing. You feel me?
Now, just to make sure the family is on point with us, you know, I want to just kind of make it as clear as possible. In the beginning, you know, now we know Heru is born. He's born, so he's not there initially. His uncle was there before him. Mm-hmm. Set is his uncle, meaning Set is older than him. Set comes before him. Set is at least one generation prior to Heru.
Now to let me give Heru his credit. There's you know, there's ancient stories about Heru pretty much predating Asar, so it's kind of confusing, you know, especially we getting all of this science from the Egyptologists. So that's what's messing us up. Like the Egyptologists, you know, they've corrupted our thinking. They got us thinking our brother Set killed his brother Asar, and this is the Cain and Abel story. No. You know what I mean? It's all been perverted. You feel me? That's not the original way, because everything, like I say, this was, you know, this is all in the cosmos. You feel me? So this was astrotheology. You know, we seen this action occur in heaven, in the heavens that we were speaking of.
I just want to try to complete my thought.
Yeah.
Heru's the uncle. He's prior to his son. I'm sorry, his nephew. Mm-hmm. Now, with his nephew, now, as the family knows, according to the story, mm-hmm. you know, and you know, the Egyptologists, they are not right and exact. Let me back you up on that. Yes, when we're dealing with Heru, you know, we call him the sun. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we can see the sun on top of his head, or the sun discus. And his uncle name is Set. And him and his uncle, because we're dealing with what did you call it? Divine theology? Is that what you called it?
Astrotheology.
Astrotheology. I gotta use that one.
Yes, sir.
So now every morning they fight. And Heru, the sun, kills Set, and it's daytime. But at nighttime,
and that's called the boat of Ra. And in the boat of Ra, they have all of them. That's when all of a sudden, like they'll tell you all of this Egyptology stuff, like Set is wrong, Set is, Set is a bad guy, Set is a bad guy. Well, they'll tell you all of that, then they'll tell you, but every morning, on the boat of Ra, Set spearheads basically the leadership of the netters, and like he's the head one leading the charge against a Pep, which is the giant serpent that's gonna basically trying to swallow the sun, and not make light today, but every day, all of a sudden this bad guy teams up with all the Avengers, and they get on the boat of Ra, and he saves the day every morning. But he's some bad guy when the Egyptologist brings him up. You know what I mean? Like, we got to know that there's no difference between God and the devil. like the most high is also the most low. You know what I mean?
Teach.
So all of these are like manifestations of Set. When we talking about, down there in the bottom, it would be what? The Leviathan.
The Leviathan. That's right.
Or even if you want to go to Sumerian, it's Enki. You feel me? The god of the abyss. You feel me?
Right.
So, and that's another thing to do with Soot and Set. You see how, like I'm saying, all of these are personifications of Set, and it's just been like there we go, like the Leviathan, which most Christians or whatever don't know, that the tribe of Levi, the Levites, worship the Leviathan.
I can see the word Levi in there, and we know Levi was the Levitical tribe, the holy tribe, the tribe of priests.
Exactly, and the Levites ran everything. See, I'm gonna show you how serpent means wisdom, because the Levites were lawyers. You feel me? Levites are lawyers. They would have so they created the law back in their time. So they ran everything. They would, they were the ones that all money had to be exchanged through and everything. So everything revolved around whatever the laws of the Levites established. So, it's showing you that the lawyers and all that, that's wisdom, to be a lawyer and all that. And the Levites, a Levite is a lawyer. So, a serpent means wisdom in so many different ways.
Right. If I can go back really quickly to the boat of Ra, I just want to read this to the family. Ra was starting to travel on attack. 2 solar, and then there we go again, solar, because we're dealing with astrotheology. 2 solar barks called the Magjet, the boat of millions of years, because we're dealing with astrotheology. We're dealing with space and time continuum. Or morning boat as the Mestet, or evening boat. These boats took him on his journey through the sky, and the Duat. Let me see if I can bring this over here. Duat. Duat is the realm of the dead.
Yeah.
The literal underworld of Egypt. Mm-hmm. While Ra was on the Mestet, he was in his ram-headed form. So what a lot of people will say, all Pharaoh's staffs have Set's head on them. Set's energy was respected in ancient Kemet. Ashe. Now, every evening, Set would overpower Ra, and that's what we call the sunset. Mm-hmm. When we're dealing with sunset is based off astrotheology. Mm-hmm. So now when we say, because these are just stories to help you understand, or allegory to help you understand what's going on up there. Mm-hmm. Where up there? The heavens. Somewhere above the dome. Somewhere. Anyway, so now she said, I'm sorry. She was talking to somebody else. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah. So now when we're dealing with this astrotheology, we're still just dealing with allegory to help us understand the story of what's going on in the stars. We see this same thing with God versus Lucifer.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to preserve the knowledge. You know what I mean? Like the great Dr. Henry Clark, John Henry Clark. He said a lot of our history is tied up in the folklore. You know what I mean? Like we have to study what they call folklore. You know, like all of these guys calling it Suedo and all, they don't want you to know your history. You feel me?
You know, and we as a people have always come from a rich oral tradition. The family, we don't come from a rich oral tradition and then they go over there and gossip. We don't come from a rich oral tradition, but then they sit here listening to Biggie. I got a story to tell. Dun, 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 dun. Remember that joint? I got a story to tell.
Yeah.
We come from a rich oral tradition.
That's real.
And then sometimes, depending on how sensitive it is, before we get on the phone, you got me on speakerphone. But you know, before we even disclose this information, look, this is from my mouth to your ears, and that's as far as this goes. So now we, as a people, according to the ancients, they called those griots. The griots were the storytellers. When we're dealing with the griots and the storytellers, they would tell, you know, oftentimes they would tell these stories to the children. Now, you're not going to be able to, you know, give the children high science. So you got to break it down in a way that they're going to retain it.
Retain it, yeah.
They're going to retain it, because this is the thing. One thing I don't respect is the family that finds the biggest words they can use to break shit down. You know, I firmly stand by the KISS acronym. You ever heard of KISS?
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid, or keep it. I think it's keep it simple, stupid. I forget.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, sexy. That's what somebody said to me. I'm just joking. They never said that to me.
Yeah.
They said stupid to me. They didn't say sexy, but in my mind.
But I'm gonna put it like Jonah Bay had said. I remember at a lecture I went a long time ago, but he made a lot of sense to me when he said, you know, we Moors, you know, we supposed to be the most intelligent people in the world, so we can simplify anything. You know, we shouldn't have to make it so difficult. You know, we ain't trying to go over nobody's head. Like, if anything needs to be broken down further, we're gonna go a little further.
Right. Now, the family earlier in the conversation, I think the brother left, but I wanted to kind of address this portion. He was saying something about, I'm gonna find it in 3, 2, 1, and I found it. Okay, I'm learning. I cannot find it. And I'm about to quit right now. Okay, I can't find it. But with that said, the brother said, but when we dealing with all of this, aren't you know, you know, you're saying Set was the first, but I thought the woman was the first, and I wanted to just kind of address the family really quickly. When we're dealing with things being born from the primordial waters, when we're talking about these primordial waters, we must realize, whose water is this? You know, when a woman is ready for sex and you go and touch her, you be like, oh, she's wet. When she's about to have that baby, they be like, oh, her water broke. So all of these things coming out of the primordial waters These primordial gods from the primordial waters. Even when you had tied it in, let me go back to something you had tied it into. The Leviathan. If you look at the Leviathan, what is the Leviathan inside of?
Yep.
That's mama's water. Some of the Africans call it Mami Wata.
Yep. Yep.
I'm not sure the family even ever heard that before. I think it's Mami Wata, and she's a mermaid.
Yep. See the whole kingdom of Ur is in the abyss. You feel me? So when we talk about Ur, that's a Sumerian version of heaven. And Ur is actually beneath in the abyss. Like I say, where Enki is king. So we talking about Set once again.
Right. Now, if I could just talk about Enki really quickly. When we're dealing with Enki was a reptilian. When we're dealing with mermaids, we're going to see scales. We're going to see where they're amphibious. When we're dealing with the Leviathan, we're going to see where it's a dragon or a serpent or some type of reptilian. And I'm so glad that you brought up Enki, because if we look at this story, I'm gonna keep this here just in case we need to come back to it. When we look up Numa and Enki, I think I typed it right. I'm not sure. There it is. Numa and Enki.
Go ahead. Yep.
That's Numa, the mother, aka Sophia, is what the Greeks would call her, and Enki, she's breastfeeding him. Numa and Enki. Now, this is according to the Sumerians. Depending on who you ask, the names may change, but we're still dealing with the same people. We're still dealing with Mami Wata. We're still dealing with the primordial waters. We're still dealing with the Levitical tribe of this the Jewish interpretation of astro theology.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yep.
We're still dealing with the serpent from these primordial waters.
I see. And like I was saying, as above, so below. So the Leviathan is also a Pep, who is really the Most High, because we talk about something that is beyond, above the sun. We talking about something that can devour the sun, so to speak. Like, you can even look up Yorgamanda, or like basically the serpent of the universe. Like everything is serpent mysticism. So the Leviathan and a Pep like coincide with all ancient religions' views of the great serpent, as the great mother. Because where do we come from? We come from the waters. Like if you look up, like they have so many different serpents. You got Yorgamanda that's supposed to surround the entire earth. You feel me? Like holding us in, and whenever he moves or whatever, we talking about floods and basically the world being disrupted. The whole thing about the Milky Way being some big swirl is really that the Milky Way is a giant serpent. You know what I mean? There's supposed to be an even greater serpent than that surrounds the entire universe. So everything is serpent mysticism.
And just to my sister, she go very hard. She says the abyss is also the subatomic or quantum realm, aka subconscious mind. Because keep in mind, this whole universe is mental. Thoth told us that the whole universe is mental.
And once again, that coincides with primordial. That's our primordial brain. Our reptilian brain is our primordial brain. And we're talking about the primordial water. We're talking about the abyss. So you see how all of the primordial is just, coming into play right now the way it should.
Right. Absolutely. The Ouroboros. The Ouroboros, and for the family who's not familiar with the Ouroboros, it's eating his tail. The Ouroboros is an ancient symbol depicting a serpent or dragon eating its own tail. Because when
that's infinity. That represents infinity.
The infinity.
So everything. See, that's why I say everything is serpent mysticism. Like they like to ask, who invented the wheel? Or where did we get the idea to invent the wheel? We're looking at it right there. That's serpentine. Notice how the serpent had attached itself to his own tail, and that was the first circle. You know what I mean? I mean, all the way down to like electricity. Without coiling those two wires together, you don't have electricity. You feel me?
Right.
So all of that is like, so significant, like even down to the double helix, everything, the caduceus, everything is serpent mysticism. We wouldn't have any of these inventions if it wasn't for serpent mysticism. That's why we are the reptilians. You feel me? Ask the Dogons. You feel me? Ask the Twa people, the ancient Hibernians, where we get the word Hebrew, but that's another discussion.
Right. I'm tripping on spelling caduceus, but yeah, that coil energy that we're also going to see within our own hair. Our hair coils. But getting a little bit further. Sister Selena's had showed that the coil symbol. That I think that symbol she's showing right there is on the actual keyboard. Teach, sis. God darn. So are we the reptilians? Yes, we've done several videos on how we are the reptilians. But today, if we can get back, closer to where we started at, we were just trying to show, because a lot of times, and a part of the reason why I wanted to do this is a lot of times we are scared of the devil. We've demonized these people. We've villainized them. We've made them out to be so bad, and so on and so forth. Which the reality is, even all throughout the world. All right. So with that said, we're rounding on about an hour now, and I try my best to keep these things within an hour. So, brother, could you give me some closing thoughts on?
Hey, see, 1 second, brother. Cause I had kind of lost my train of thought, but when the brother Anthony Gillard had brought up the spine, that was perfect, because when the brother asked, are we reptilians? Not only is the spine serpentine, but anything with a spine is an ancestor of the trilobite. All creatures in the world with the spine are reptilian. So even everything that's an invertebrate, so all vertebrates are reptilians. That reptilians, all of them don't have bones. So even invertebrates are reptilian, as well as vertebrates. We all are reptilian. The most ancient ancestor of all of the animal kingdom is the trilobite. So that's a reptilian. And, we follow suit after that.
Could you give us your thoughts, all in all, in terms of Set? Is he the devil? Is he bad? Is he the original God? How should we feel about him? So on and so forth.
I mean, I feel like we should kind of like get more of a grasp. Like, we don't need to have such a tier, an upper tier and a lower tier of gods. Like, we need to just balance it out, and understand what our Mount Olympus is, and just reverence all of our gods, study all of them, because all of these are different priesthood. So fall in where you belong, live in accordance to the laws of Ma'at. You feel me? And if we were to really study our ancient ways, we would fall into one of the priesthood of Set or of Horus. Like, even being the word Moor, a Moor, man, we cannot just be, people think they can be Moors just, going to a temple or getting the right paperwork. None of that. It makes you a Moor. It's not even about skin. Man, Amur is a high priest of Anu. So we got to get into the priesthood of all this. The high priest of Set, the high priest of Horus. If you want to be a real Moor, you have to be a high priest of Anu. And all hail Anu, and all hail Set, all hail Horus. I just want to shout out all the gods because I'm a polytheistic, person trying to bring it back. Because if I have to, end this on a note that's gonna start something else. But the truth is, to me, Akhenaten is like a traitor. Akhenaten, he switched up on all of the gods. So Akhenaten brung you one god, which led you down to, just a closed mind. And I'm calling him out,
Damn, Gina, in my best Martin voice. Yo, oh my God. But I kind of feel you on that because that monotheistic thing really put us in a box, and we think, well, I can't give, because even if we look in America at the so-called Aboriginal, they or the Indians, whatever you want to call them, they said they gave honor to all spirits. The spirit of the water, the spirit of the animals, the spirit, the spirit in the trees. Go watch the movie Pocahontas. Pocahontas was talking to the weeping willow.
I say, Buddha was enlightened under the Bodhi tree. The ancient Druids, which I strive to be a Druid. The Druids, they learned from the trees. I mean, that's what made the Bible and books so important, is because they are made of papyrus. These books love me more, just as much as I love them. Because guess what? If I don't read it, they still talking to me, brother. Still absorbing all that's around me. I might as well just live in the library and channel all the energy and feed it back to the people, because that's what we can do. We Druids, baby.
In addition to that, when we look at the Pocahontas movie where she was talking to the willow that was leading her spiritually, in terms of Egypt, let me see if I can pull this up. I believe it was Osiris who was represented through the willow as well. Let me see, can I hit all? The willow tree was also sacred in Egypt, as it was a tree that was said to have grown up around Osiris. Okay, bear with me. I was a little bit off. And I believe I see a picture right here of some. Now, this picture, this is a woman inside the willow, where we can see it relates a little bit more to Pocahontas. But nonetheless, getting back to what you were saying, what is the problem? The problem is where Akhenaten and the family who may not know who that is, that's King Tut's daddy.
Yeah.
Nefertiti's husband.
Yeah.
In addition to that, family, let me get in Akhenaten ass really quickly, family. Let me get in his ass really quickly.
Yeah.
Akhenaten had a real slim face, like that girl from Waiting to Exhale who set that boy Angela Bassett. Akhenaten had a slim face like Angela Bassett. Akhenaten had wide hips like Nicki Minaj. Akhenaten had an A cup like Rihanna. A lot of people said, not just me, family, even Dr. Phil Valentine, even Bobby Hemmett, a lot of people will tell you something was up with Akhenaten. He was either a hermaphrodite, a fucking alien. Go back and look at Family Guy. Go back and hold on, family. I'm not playing with y'all right now. I'm not playing with y'all.
Hey, don't forget to show him Obama and Akhenaten. But I know what you're saying, though, because they say Akhenaten was the first female on the throne. You say he was actually a woman. I know what you're getting at.
Let's look at the I forgot his name. Somebody type his name in. I don't remember. Roger. That's his name, Roger. Look at Roger's face. It's slender. Look at Roger's hips, they're wide. Look at Roger's breast, that's an A cup. A cup. Akhenaten. Hold on. I gotta find a full body. See, this is the thing. Ooh, look at, where do you think they got the idea of Roger from Family Guy from? A slim face, wide hips, a A cup. That fuck around, family. That might be a B cup. That might be a B cup.
Yeah.
All my ladies know. If the fellas don't know what I'm talking about, the ladies know. That might be a B cup.
Yeah.
So now when we dealing with Akhenaten, Akhenaten brought us monotheism.
Yeah.
You done turned your back on all of the gods and pronounce yourself to be a god alone?
Yep. Yep. And not even a primordial.
Johnny come lately. Damn, Gina. Johnny come lately.
Yep. It's like, hey, it's like be Christian or die. You know?
In addition to that, if you go look in King Tut's tomb, he has daggers. One of the daggers is made from meteorite. That meteorite his father gave from him. If you go, because, you know, when we're dealing with the gods, when we're dealing with the royalty, you know who they mama is, who they daddy is, who they brothers are. Go and look who Akhenaten's mama, daddy, brothers are. He don't got none. He don't got none. Where the hell did Akhenaten come from? You just appeared out of nowhere. Or they were like, oh no, so-and-so is his daddy, but he ain't got no pictures with his daddy. So-and-so is his mama, but he ain't got no picture. Go and look. Whoever they say Akhenaten's mama is, go find a picture with her.
Mm-hmm.
Can't find none. But then if you go and look at Akhenaten, hold on. But if you go and look at Akhenaten and go and look at his family portrait, hold on. Nefertiti and Akhenaten. Go look at their family portrait. Everybody knows them. Everybody. Go look at their head. Look at their heads, family. This is Akhenaten's family. That's Akhenaten's family. Now go look at Roger from Family Guy. Roger from Family Guy. Look at Roger's head. Akhenaten was a goddamn alien. Are y'all playing with me? Y'all better stay woke, family. Y'all better stay woke.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing of Roger from Family Guy is a play on Akhenaten.
Yeah.
But with that said, we've already hit on 1 hour. And the only reason we bringing up Akhenaten is because Akhenaten spit in the face of the rest of the primordial gods, including Horus and Set, aka the Sun and Saturn. That's all I got for your family. So with that said, brother, I'm gonna let you say your words and then I'm gonna close out.
I mean, you know, I appreciate coming on, you know, having time to build with y'all. You feel me? We just trying to raise the bar. So I want you to know more than you did an hour ago. So I feel like that mission's been complete.